You don't blow up your account because you're a bad trader. You blow up because your ego takes the wheel after a loss. You make a loss, then you're oversizing the next trade, then you're taking trades off strategy, and all of a sudden, you're no longer trading the market, you are trading your identity. Today, we're going to stop that cycle for good. We've all been there. One loss, and suddenly you're oversizing, you're taking trades off strategy without even being aware of it. And even if you are aware of it, you know what you could do better, but you're not practically doing it. And that causes a lot of frustration. Accepting losses sounds simple until it pokes at your sense of identity, your self-worth, and your confidence, your need to control things. So if you ever thought, why the hell can't I just take a loss and move on? This video will answer just that. If this sounds like something you need, I'd ask you to hit the subscribe button. I bring these trading psychology topics and transform them into mental frameworks and practical tools that you can immediately start to use in your trading and see progress with them. Most traders can't accept loss for two main things. The first one is the narrative they are attaching to loss, the meaning. And the second one is they don't know what's the norm for their strategy. And when that loss hits your identity, it's no longer about the market. You're trying to prove something to yourself, to your family, to an imaginary audience that's there judging you. So here's what you're going to learn today. I'm going to give you the 6-step process I utilize with my coaching clients to reframe the meaning of loss. You're also going to identify the current meaning you're attaching to it, and you will learn to transform it into a productive narrative. So let's break down how to better accept loss without losing your mind or your edge. Step number 1. What is the meaning you are attaching to loss? Because it's not about the red number. It's about what that red number means to you. And common examples I see amongst the traders I get in touch with is a loss equals incompetence, it equals a lack of self-worth, it equals failure, or the self-talk that everyone was right and I'm not cut out for this. So what I want you to do is to write down what's that meaning to you. And you can even go beyond trading and see what other losses in other areas of your life trigger for you. What is the exact meaning you are attaching to loss? And just so that I can give you an example, so I worked with this client and we went over this 6-step process. And so the meaning Marco, this client of mine, was attaching to loss was just not a trading loss. It was that he was sloppy, that he was making a mistake. So it brought a lot of shame to him. And he described feeling instantly tense, trying to make it back. So he needed to act fast in order to correct the loss and even out the result. And this is identity level stuff. So we wrote it out. So it looked something like this. When I lose, I feel that I'm failing as a trader and that I need to redeem myself instantly. Step number 2 is, where did that story came from? So in order to understand the narrative that you want to overcome, you need to also understand what's supporting that narrative. What are the past experiences, the high intense emotions that are acting as pillars for you to hold that narrative in mind? Was it that time when your boss called you sloppy, or when your teacher only praised you when you had a good result on your test? And we're not going deep into therapy here, right? This is coaching, but we need to connect the dots. So once you understand what's supporting that narrative, you can also see how you can disrupt it. And with Marco example, when we dug deeper into what was supporting his belief about a loss, he remembered something heavily emotionally intense, which was the moment his dad used to say to him, if you're not winning, then you're wasting your time. So over the years, Marco learned that losing was actually a threat and a waste of time. So every loss to him triggered stored pressure from the past. Step number 3, what challenges that story? Just like you have evidence supporting that belief, I'm sure you also have evidence and past experiences that disrupt it. But because our brain has this confirmation bias, it means that it's always constantly trying to mold the outside reality into an existing belief. And this is to protect ourselves. But this belief is harming you in trading, so you want to get rid of it. So you want to actually understand what are the exact stories, past experiences, facts that disrupt this belief. Instances where you were able to overcome loss, or you did well after a loss, or where you bounced back from a drawdown. So I asked Marco, have you ever taken a loss and not spiraled? And he started to recall. It was difficult because these type of things are in the subconscious mind. So it takes some time. But eventually he said that he had some losses a couple of months ago and he didn't spiral. He mentioned it as being at his peak state. In that month, he was in a good mood. He was just waking up on the right side of the bed. Everything was going fine. So he also was able to develop a new response to an old trigger. And once he started to write things down, he also said to me, it's crazy how we forget the things or the events when we handle them in a good way. It's like our brain passes right through them without giving them importance. So we were highlighting or shedding light here into the events that disrupted his belief. Now, step number 4, what's the cost of holding this belief? And I'm sure there's a lot of benefits to it. It's kept you in your comfort zone, it's preserving your ego, protecting your identity, keeping you in a box, but it's also keeping you stuck. So I want you to write down the pros and the cons this belief has. And so for Marco, when we analyzed these pros and cons, the pros was that this same belief was pushing him to analyze the loss immediately and do something to redeem himself and over-prepare, in this sense, for the next trade. When there was really nothing to over-prepare. It's just about following the same strategy, right? But the cons were weighted way more. So this was about overtrading, oversizing, losing money. The way he saw loss was the very thing that was creating his biggest losing days. And these were the days that he needed to get rid of. And seeing it laid out this way made it obvious. The costs outweighed the benefits. And that's when Marco made his decision that he wanted to let go of this belief. And this decision moment, this conversation that you have with yourself, it's pretty important because most of the time, these benefits are unclear. And when you shed light on them, then you understand, then you gain clarity about how you want to move forward and how badly you want to let go of this belief. Step number 5, what's a new belief that actually works better for you? And here I don't want you to come with any type of woo-woo reframing, any cheesy or cliche thing like losses are lessons or opportunities to learn. Your reframing needs to make sense to you. And the way to outpower your autopilot that's been acting for so long, maybe a lifetime, it's to find something that resonates with you so deeply. And the way to do that, it has to be tied to your core, to your strengths, to your core values, to your priorities, to what matters to you. That's the way to utilize a reframe. So if you are a competitive person, maybe you want to reframe losses into a competitive challenge that it's either proving if you fold or focus. But maybe if you are a perfectionist, the way you want to reframe it is that losses are a practice in real control. So you're getting the idea. It's about understanding your personality traits, what matters to you, and then utilizing a reframing that resonates. For Marco, the reframing that we got to was losses are not judgment days. They are checkpoints. They are not to be avoided. They are something to be dealt with. And the reason why this reframing worked so well for Marco was because he saw maintaining composure as a flex, not just as a win. And this resonated with what he wanted. He wanted to master the craft. So self-mastery was very important to him, maybe more than results even. And finally, step number 6, how will you implement this new belief? What is the cue you want to utilize? How will you check your emotions rising? What are the exact steps you want to perform as soon you encounter or recognize this cue? And for Marco, what we did was creating a simple ritual for him to perform after a loss. And then we rated him on that, the performance of that process, rather than the outcome of the trade. And so if he checked mark all the steps of the process right after a loss, he would have a good process and then celebrate, so positive reinforcement. And if not, then it was a failure. And I actually talked about loss ritual and how you can put yours together in my last video, so I will leave it in the description below in case you're interested. And the focus here with Marco was not to be perfect. We knew that not all losses you would be able to implement perfectly that routine. The goal was to improve, become better day after day. And as a matter of fact, we saw that Marco was able to perform that process, that loss ritual, 3 times in a week, which was a big win compared to the way he was reacting. And that was also an improvement in the size of his losing days. So that was proof that it was working. Now, I've created a Notion template that walks you through these 6-step processes and that you can utilize for yourself. So I will leave it in the description below. You can duplicate it to your own Notion and start the process right now. Now, we've talked about the 6-step process to reframing the narrative you're attaching to loss, the meaning. And there was, if you remember in the beginning, I mentioned 2 biggest reasons why traders cannot accept loss. That was the narrative that we talked about, and that was also not knowing what is normal to your strategy. And so this is about expectations, because when you don't know what's normal statistically for your strategy, then you will overreact after what is a normal event, like 3 consecutive losses, or for some strategies, even 5 consecutive losses. And there's this table that I love that makes us think, and it shows us that with a 50% win rate and with a 50 trade sample, there's a 79% chance of hitting 4 losers in a row. This is normal, but most traders hit 3 losses in a row and they overreact. They go reckless. They trade impulsively. So the idea here is stop tweaking and start tracking. When you know your stats, you're more likely to detach your identity from outcomes. Together with a 6-step process to help you reframe the meaning of loss, you have a powerful recipe to becoming a better loser. So I'd suggest you to let this video be your guide in reframing the meaning of loss. Take this video as something you're actually investing something on, and you're investing your time, but as if you invested actually money in it. Go through the 6-step process and follow the guidelines I gave you, and I promise you, if you implement these, you will reduce your losing trading days and your losers, and you will let your winners reflect much better in your equity curve. If this hit home for you, I'd ask you to subscribe and click the like button, and don't forget to grab the Notion template to go through the 6-step process. And if you want to go deeper, check the pinned comment. I left a question there for you to dig a little bit deeper on your meaning of loss. With love,